In today's podcast, I had the privilege to sit down with Sid Meadows. Sid is a trainer and a coach for companies in the contract furniture industry. He has a wealth of experience and knowledge, and he's a great conversationalist. I think you're really going to enjoy this. All right, well, thanks for being here, Sid. I really appreciate it. The world is all changing and things are kind of all over the place, and I think it's up to leaders of organizations and people in different industries to, look at trends and figure out where are we going and how do we do it. And I'd love to start off with you just sharing a little bit about how you ended up where you are. You're a consultant and a coach and a trainer, and kind of let everybody know where that came from and how you ended up doing that.
Sure, absolutely. And I'm glad to be here. Excited to kind of share my thoughts on a variety of different topics with you. So I've been in the industry, the furniture business, my entire professional career. I started right out of college at a dealership and made my way through a couple of manufacturers, a couple of dealerships. I think my time's been split about 50-50 between manufacturer and dealer. And I love our industry. It's fun, it's exciting. It's facing a lot of challenges right now. But a little over 3 years ago, I decided to leave my corporate job after 10 years working for the same company and start my own business. And so I started Embark CCT, which is a coaching, consulting, and training company uniquely focused on businesses, small businesses particularly, inside of the contract interiors industry. And so as with anything, we evolve. And so today what we've kind of evolved to is we provide business strategy and coaching is the predominant two things that we do. And we typically work with small to mid-sized businesses and individuals and really helping them step into growth and look at ways to grow their business and really start leveraging the components of high performance to step into being the best individual performer or company performance that they possibly can be.
So is it like sales training or is it more process? Or, I'm just curious to learn more about that. And is it more, you said you worked with a lot of different companies. Is it more the dealer side or the manufacturer side or both? Or
yeah.
Kind of.
So it's an interesting question because I've seen a shift where we were doing a lot of manufacturer work, and then we shifted to do a lot of dealer work with the little manufacturer, and now we've shifted to we work with a lot of independent reps right now, okay, and then a few manufacturers. So it's been a nice little shift, and I think it keeps things interesting because the business model for the manufacturer, the dealer, and the independent rep are all different. And so it kind of keeps things really interesting and exciting. But to go to the other question, high performance, when we talk about coaching and we talk about high performance coaching, that's actually a certification. So, and it's a process. So in addition to being a certified professional coach through a program called IPAC, I'm also a certified high performance coach through the High Performance Institute. And high performance coaching looks at the 6 principles of high performance and really helps both individuals and companies understand things like courage, presence, time management, and productivity. And the list goes on and on of things that you focus on. And those can be beneficial for individuals or for teams. So do we coach or do I coach around a specific sales methodology? No. Is it a specific program that we follow through high performance coaching? Yes, it's a program that we follow. Let's call it a methodology or a modality, if you will. But the outcome is up to the individual.
Well, yeah, and it's more, I would think, then more applicable to more people in the organization. Where
Correct.
If it's just a sales coach, it's just a sales team.
Correct.
Where that high performance would work on production and operations and accounting and everybody,
Absolutely.
Customer service, everything in that realm in an organization. So
yeah, absolutely. High performance is about continuing to take forward progress or make steps forward. And as I tell people as we go through the high performance program, because it comes with a lot of ideas, worksheets, and a lot of journaling and things like that. Mm-hmm. And there's no way, because it's a 12-week program, and every week you get something different. There's absolutely no way to take all 12 things that you get out of high performance coaching and implement them all. If you did or tried it, you would feel awful about it because you can't implement all 12 of them at the same time. So my tips to people are take one. Mm-hmm. Take one thing, implement it, get really good at it, and then move forward and keep moving forward, then implement the next one and then the next one. And I think a really good example of that is block timing. So in productivity and time management, we talk a lot about how do you schedule your day and what do you do? And we talk about block timing and scheduling appointments with yourself to do certain tasks. And it's a really, really hard thing for people to get used to.
Absolutely.
And so once you get used to it and you do it, then I would say, okay, go do the next thing, right? And keep taking one step forward. So high performance is really a journey, in my opinion, that has no final destination, because as human beings and individuals, we should always be working to get better and better and better and become better people.
And by the time you get to 12, there's new people that need to kind of start at number 3 and keep working. So there's always room for improvement. No, we did that with our sales team a few years back, really trying to get down to, okay, we knew certain behaviors were important.
Right.
But those behaviors are often shuffled away, like cold calling or business development type behaviors are the first thing to go when you get busy. And so we blocked out time, and we started kind of more harshly. I've learned over the years, started with power hour, where everybody is stopping at 10 a.m. and we're all doing this, and we learned that wasn't really the best for everybody. But so we went to block timing, where each salesperson would block their schedule and share their calendar, so we could all see, well, Mac's going to be busy doing outbound dials during this hour, so don't go and bug him with a process question or a product question, stuff like that. And I think that really did transform our team to get them a lot more focused on the behavior, because and then that's transition. We hit this pandemic and everything stops, and people have to go home, and then the economy starts to suffer as a result of that, and the furniture office economy, I think, suffered even more than other aspects of our economy. And so looking at that, our salespeople still had their time blocked, still had their behaviors and activity blocked out, and so it was really good to see, because we would do these Zoom meetings, right? And they'd be like, things are crazy, people are getting laid off, there's bad stuff happening, things are slow. So we're focusing on our behavior, we're focusing on our time management, we're trying to make sure that we're doing those things. And so we saw it in a very real way that aspect mattered to our organization,
And that's good that you have it kind of as part of your culture.
It took a while. It took a while, but
it's a journey, right?
Yeah, it absolutely is a journey. Another example is one of the things that we, it ebbs and flows too, right? But we incorporated role playing on our team.
Role playing.
And it took a long time to get comfortable. We would keep getting out of character and talk about it instead of get back into it and practice it. And so but we started to learn how to do that. And then you'd hire a new person, and they would sit on the edge and just not want to engage. But after 6, 8, 10 months, it started to become a thing. It was like, don't bother us. These 2 mornings, we're going to be in here role playing, and I think it really, really mattered, because you get vulnerable. People come in and say, I had this ridiculous conversation that I look stupid in, or this presentation went horrible. And let's practice it. Let's model what And so, those things are processed. So then every once in a while, you'll be like, we've kind of gotten away from some of that. And so then we kind of, as a team, look at it and say, well, let's buckle down and get back to it. And I love it. I'm the worst offender of all this. I mean, if you ask anybody on our team, I'm the guy that's like, my calendar's a mess, and sometimes I commit to things, and other times I don't. But our team outside of me has done a really good job of holding to that. And that's a testament to some of the people we have here, for sure. But
that's awesome. So, I think role playing is one of the best forms of professional development that's out there, because you can simulate real life activities. And, when I do it a lot in both my group coaching and my individual coaching, and, hey, let's role play this. And people freak out about role play.
Yeah.
And they get really nervous. And what you said is accurate. It's because of the vulnerability that it takes to expose yourself, if you will, to your colleagues, or maybe what your deficiencies are to your colleagues and your friends at work. And so it takes a lot of courage to do role play, but it is by far one of the best activities that any company can institute, especially today. Because the conversations that we have with our potential customers today is a lot different than we had prior to March the 15th. Prior to March the 15th, we're talking about sales and products and, buy this, what kind of discount do you need? Right now, we're not really talking about products as much as we are talking about workplace and workforce and the impact and all that. And so people need help in understanding that conversation. And the best way to get really good at that, outside of research, is role play.
Yeah, or practice the hard way, but you don't always want to practice on your customers.
So true.
Yeah,
you don't want to get caught not knowing
exactly
something.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm a former teacher, and one of the things in education, the state of Texas, when you're certified as a teacher, you have to take so many professional development credits every year. And well, they say every year, but it's actually every 5 years you have to have so many. And so you could, I suppose, pack them all in that last year. And so the school district would usually provide everything you needed. You wouldn't have to go outside and pay for it. And I have to tell you, that was the worst experience of being a teacher for me, was going to professional development. It was like, it was the most useless thing I could imagine. And I would always tell my supervisors, we would get more if we as a group went and practiced how we as the economics team are going to teach economics to our kids better than me having to hear this person give a presentation about something else. I mean, it was a myriad of things, but none of it in my mind applied to me. It wasn't helping me be a better teacher. It was wasting my time so I could check off that I had completed so many hours. And so personally, it really put me off to professional development as a word. I was like, I hate professional development days. I want nothing to do with it. And so then, now I'm here and been here for 7 years, and I believe one of the things that we really push in our culture is constant learning, professional development. But it's applicable. It's role play. It's learning about our industry specifically, or specific techniques that we can then pull back and apply them to our daily jobs.
Sure.
And, there's days where I'm like, I kind of wish somehow I could go back to the education world and like knock on their heads a little bit, like, hello, McFly, like, hey, do this, like get that applicable to their lives, and it'll mean something to people. We'll actually have better teachers for it. And if any of them are listening, like, no, that's not what we're trying to do, But that was my real world example, how I saw it. So,
well, I think the fact that you're investing in it in your company in some way or another is a really good thing. And there are a lot of ways to apply professional development without hiring somebody. There are a lot of ways of things that you can do to help your team get better. You mentioned one of them. We are a really focused in our industry, we are really product focused. And we spend a lot of time training on the products and the features and benefits of the product. But where we miss, and I don't think we should be product experts, I think we should be industry experts. And we don't spend enough time training in our industry, professional development or training for that matter, on industry specific topics, industry related topics, to educate our people about trends or new styles of working or things of that nature. We don't spend a lot of time doing that. And that's where we miss out, is not really doing that because we spend so much time focusing on product.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I think made a lot of sense for where we came as a company was we are actually a technology company, and that's where we started. And we weren't even in the furniture industry. We were more AV and low voltage and that style of things. And what drew us to the furniture industry was the way that they have the ability to really talk to a customer about holistic solutions. They sell chairs and desks and things like that. But as an industry, they were much more forward thinking in our minds at educating a customer about other challenges that could potentially be in the space. Now, we all know not all the furniture dealers do that well. Not all the salespeople do that well. But we saw opportunity there where it was like, some of our other partners are just bidding specifications. And then a lot of these furniture dealers have salespeople who truly do want to help give their customer an experience and do more than just, and they want to differentiate. And so all those things helped us get into the furniture world and get to know reps and dealers and manufacturers and all the things that you've been a part of your entire life. And so I see the opportunity for the furniture industry to continue to morph and to continue to bring value outside of just a cool chair or a really well-built table or desk. And in your experience, are you seeing that some dealers are starting to see that? And I know COVID has probably changed some of that, but
well, I think it's
what do you think is happening?
Yeah, I think it's a really, really good question. And as we look at what the potential evolution of things could be, and none of us have an exact answer. I mean, there's so many moving parts to it right now. But I do believe that in order to be successful, the office furniture dealer specifically needs to focus on being an industry expert and not a product expert. I truly believe that. They need to be able to help their customers solve problems that are beyond a specific product. Because at the end of the day, the customers don't really care about the product, the brand name. They care that it functions correctly and that it serves their purpose. But, and I know the brands would hate me to say that out loud because everybody thinks their brand's important. But at the end of the day, to the customer, for the most part, the brand name of the product doesn't matter. What matters is the space and how the space functions. And is the workplace designed in a way that supports the work habits of the employees of that company. And the best way for you to be able to solve that problem, which is really a workplace problem, not a furniture problem, is to know our industry and to know things like how to understand and know what is biofield design and how do you implement it. What is neurodiversity in the workplace? Why is it important and how do you implement it? And then what products support a neurodiverse environment? And if you were to ask someone at an office furniture dealership about neurodiversity in the workplace, most of them would look at you like, what are you talking about? I mean, I talked to a principal, owner of a large brand name dealership and mentioned neurodiversity. And his response to me, what is that? And that's exactly my point.
Well, I obviously know what it is, but could you share with everybody
what
gosh,
you're going to put me on a spot about neurodiversity. So, which is great. I'll do my best. But neurodiversity in the workplace is about designing the workplace to support the people on the edge, if you will. So people with ADHD, with autism, and things of that nature. And honestly, the conversation about neurodiversity is only going to increase because COVID and working at home put a lot of us on that spectrum, right? And put a lot of us in stress and anxiety, and all of those things are part of what neurodiversity is. Now, what I would tell you is the expert in our industry relative to neurodiversity is Kay Sargent with HOK. And HOK, led by Kay and her team, did an unbelievable research and report about neurodiversity in the workplace. And I would highly encourage you, if you're interested in neurodiversity, anybody listening, is to go download that report. Go to HOK's website and just type in neurodiversity, and Kay and all the stuff that she's done and written, and the studies and the research will all come up, and find that report and read it. The big difference that neurodiversity talks about, it has a lot to do with color and the use of color and certain types of color. Additionally, the planning aspect of neurodiversity is different. And what neurodiversity talks about is planning the work environment in neighborhoods, not by function. So that rather than this is a conference room, that then you have a neighborhood so that your entire accounting department, if you will, sits in this neighborhood. So their meeting space, their working space, their collaboration space are all together. That's a neighborhood. And so, I mean, that is basic concept around it. It's a lot more detailed than that.
No doubt.
And my point being is that as an industry, we don't really train on that.
Yeah.
Interior designers in our industry train on that because, as you mentioned earlier, they're required to have upwards of 15 hours of CEUs every year to maintain their license. But office furniture dealer and salespeople, even manufacturers for that matter, need to understand what this is so that they can talk educatedly to their client about how to implement that strategy then knowing what products work to support it.
Yeah, and I think about how we've operated as a company in the furniture space, and one of the compelling things that we always try and teach and train them is to let us be the experts on acoustics and on our products. You don't have to be even our reps, we even tell them, like, you need a knowledge, but like, you need to understand how this stuff applies to a space, not what cable or what speaker or what product or what hanger to use. Let us do that.
Sure.
And
that's a perfect example of not being a product expert.
Exactly.
And being an industry expert and solving a problem, because that's our job. Our job is to solve the problem of the workplace, not to sell a specific chair.
And that kind of excites me because honestly, we've been pushing that message for years to, you don't have to know everything. Let us be the experts on that. You need to know how to plug this stuff in.
Sure.
You need to know what problem this solves. You need to know a scenario that I can show you old PowerPoints that are really ugly from like 2013 and 2014, but the message was what to look for in a space.
Yeah.
If you have a floor plan or you're designing a space for a customer, or you walk into a space with a customer, if you recognize this or you see this or you hear this, those are all things that are problems that we can help solve. And so we've been trying for years to get, and we've had success. We've had people take us up on that. And the interesting thing was, we learned years ago that the numbers showed that if we could present to their customer through a virtual web screen share, like 10 slides, just to kind of show them what we do and why we do it and what to expect from it, and then answer questions, that our close rate upped by like 400%.
Wow.
Versus just, here's your quote, because it was something they didn't understand. And so a $10,000 quote seems like a lot of money when there's no real good education around why. Then the moment you educate, it's like, oh, that seems really reasonable for the result we're going to get.
Sure. And you're solving the problem that they have. And when you think about it, solving problems is our job. I know as an industry, we're very product centric. We need to be more problem centric. But at the end of the day, what we really sell is change. When you think about really what we do, is we are supporting the change that our clients are going through. And I think where this breaks down is we don't do enough exploratory to understand what's changing in their business and why it's changing in their business.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example. So role playing. I been running this little experiment, if you will, for about a year. And I ask salespeople in our industry when I'm coaching them to role play with me and sell me 1,000 test chairs. They immediately, 99% of them, 99.5% of them, jump right in and start asking me about the product. Do I want a mesh back? Do I want arms? Do I not want arms? Do I want adjustable lumbar? They go straight to the product feature.
Taking an order?
Absolutely, absolutely. Some of you even asked me about my price point and my budget. But only 0.5% of them actually start asking me business-related questions about what's changing in my business that has me with a need for 1,000 new test chairs.
Yeah.
Something in my business is changing.
The initial first question is, why in the world are you asking?
Yes. Well, what in your business has changed in order to require you to need 1,000 new test chairs? Rather than, well, what type of chair do you want? They're two completely different conversations.
Yeah.
And the first way, really uncovering the problem, will lead to additional sales and additional opportunities for that person that is brave enough to ask those questions and not start selling the product.
So when you coach,
I
mean, obviously you've got a wealth of knowledge about these things. You're displaying it. So you've got the whole organization coaching, but I mean, that seems like a very kind of sales oriented shift. Is that part of what you do as well, kind of? Or is that more high level with maybe the owners and the VP of sales, letting them understand maybe
it's
you guys
actually
need
both.
to shift?
It's actually both. But what happens is I end up doing it one-on-one with one-on-one clients.
Okay.
It comes out in a role play when we're talking about something relative to the high performance coaching, right? Whether it's courage or productivity, whatever it might be. Clarity is another great example where it would potentially come up. And so we just take that conversation and I ask them to role play with me, and then I role play with them. And then they're the client and I'm the salesperson, and I show them a different perspective about doing it. And you should see their eyes just light up,
Right.
like, oh my gosh, I never thought about asking questions like that.
Yeah.
And really the power that comes from asking those kinds of questions. Because as salespeople, and I'm guilty, I've behaved this way for a large part of my career. As I ask you a question and you're answering it, I'm already on to the next question in my head. I know exactly what I'm going to ask you, and I just go straight to it. And it was all very product focused. I can tell you now that my education and the things I've been through in the last 3 years totally changed my perspective about how to ask questions.
Great.
And how
Yeah.
to get information from the client.
Well, I mean, we follow a couple different selling techniques, but question-based or Sandler selling is one of the things that we do. And, for me, in training that, I loved asking questions, but I'm a problem solver by nature. So, and I'm analytical, so I would already jump ahead of, okay, you told me that, so I already know that you're just like this other customer, and let me solve your problem here for you, and let me just lay that in front of you.
Right.
And what I learned very quickly in some of the training that we did was, I need to slow down, I need to ask more questions, and when I find a problem, I need to, the way we described it was like, I need to push on that pain.
Sure.
I don't need to solve it yet. I need to expose it. I need to put pressure and make them really feel pain. And that was an eye-opener for me, especially in role-playing, to stop trying to save them, stop trying to bail them out.
Yep.
Let them understand that they have a problem.
Sure.
And my next question is, well, how much do you think that's costing you? And what have you done to try and solve it? And instead of saying, I've got just what you need.
Yep.
I started going down that.
That's where we go.
We saw that just transform our ability to create meaningful connections with people at a level that they're like, here's my actual problem.
Right. So, understanding problem-centric and product-centric and really trying to be a more problem-centric seller. I mean, kudos to you guys for focusing on that. But I will tell you, I have another recommendation. And especially if you're an office furniture dealer or an office furniture manufacturer and you're going to hear what I'm about to say, it's going to be super challenging for you, okay? And I get it. But there's a guy, his name is Keenan, and he's all over LinkedIn, and he wrote a book last year called Gap Selling. And it is about shifting from being a product-centric seller to a problem-centric seller. Go buy his book. Listen to it on Audible, buy the book and read it. Follow him on LinkedIn. He is an in-your-face sales trainer. And at every turn of the page of that book, or every minute that goes by in Audible as you're listening to it, you're going to say to yourself, this will never work in our industry, but I promise you it will. I've read the book twice. I've listened to it twice. What he teaches you about focusing on the problem and the tools that he gives you in that book are absolutely amazing. And right now he's I sound like a commercial for Keenan.
We're going to totally plug it now. Yeah. So.
But right now he's running online trainings for 2 days. It's a half a day, one day, a half a day the next day, and he takes you through the whole book for $99.
Wow.
And if you're unemployed, last week he was doing a thing, if you're an unemployed salesperson, he gave it to you for half off. And so, but it's just a great training program to really help you understand product selling versus problem selling. So I'd highly recommend reading it.
Well, and that's a great way to end this podcast because, we just never know what's going to happen in the future. And so to get so focused on this is what I do today, I just find it so much better to enrich yourself when we talk about professional development. Yep. It's about making me a better person in a lot of aspects of what I do. And so if you're just a better seller in general, you know how to sell, or really how to help people solve problems, plug the product in. You can have a new job and immediately start applying that appropriately. And I'm sure that's probably the value proposition you can give people when you're talking. This carries with you.
Absolutely.
It helps the organization today be better, but it also carries with every individual wherever they end up.
It helps you. Professional development helps you grow and helps you become a better person. And when you become a better person and a better performer, your skill set is transferable to any company, regardless of the product that you sell.
And that's valuable to everybody.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yes. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. It was awesome.
All right.